Well, that was a very difficult but important watch for us to get into. The images and the testimony and even the silence itself is not only shocking but also harrowing. And it just begs to ask the question about human condition and lives in what is supposed to be a rehabilitation center or a reformative center. And so to do this and to discuss this further, we're joined by 3 guests. But first, the reporter who filed in this report, and that is News Central's Rukayyah Jibia. Rukayyah, thank you so much for joining us.
Also thank you for having me.
Joining us virtually is Barrister Mo Lawal, if we have him on there as well. And lastly, we have a 3rd guest, Rukayyah. Who could that be?
Bashir Bala.
Bashir Bala, there we go.
He's a human rights activist.
And he also joins us. Bashir, many thanks for doing this with us, gentlemen. We appreciate you for coming on. This is a harrowing story.
Yeah, indeed.
But first of all, what led you to this story? Let's start there.
Okay, I saw the story on social media. And I don't know. I just want to tell the story. I want to uncover the truth. If at all that center is guilty, I want to uncover that story.
Your findings is this only an isolated case, or is this a repeated case that we're seeing in this center?
I think this is a repeated case. As you can see from my report, there is another victim. And the victims, they kept coming forward. You know, even yesterday before this report is ready, they kept coming forward. But most of them, I can see that they are scared. You will see that I blur the face of the 2nd victim because he was scared and his mom was also scared. You know, but things are happening in that center. You know, when I went to visit the principal, I asked him whether I can go into the dormitory to see their living condition, and which he allowed me to. So, as I just entered the dormitory, I can see people chained, like with iron, with chain cuffed to their legs. You mean they are not animals? And you said you are going to reform them, you are going to rehabilitate them, and you have chain, like where are they going to? You know, and there was this, I was asking them, and there was this boy. I still see him in my sleep. He was trying to tell me that they tied us, they beat us, and the vice principal had that boy.
Oh, so
immediately I left the gate of the dormitory, I can hear him beating that boy.
Oh dear. Okay, I can't imagine what you have been through.
Oh, of course.
I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation. Yeah. But I asked a simple question just before we came on the air, and I'm going to repeat that question, but not without noting everything that report actually showed us. The inhumanity of it all, it would seem, the trauma that individuals have gone through in this institution that was supposed to be for rehabilitation, but now is the very torture house, you know, that people should actually run away from when they say, if you do drugs, we will take you there. It's not rehabilitating anything at all.
Yeah.
But now you're in Lagos. These are matters that are happening in Katsina, but you're in Lagos. Could you tell us that story again, why you are in Lagos?
Okay. I have to be in Lagos to do the story. You know, Katsina is not an easy place to tell a story because nobody wants you to talk over there. I mean, things keep happening, but you just can't say anything. Even, I think our journalists in Katsina, just a few of them, maybe the
brave ones.
Yes, the brave ones, they are the ones that can tell the story of what is happening. But you can't just talk. You need to keep quiet in Katsina. If you want to live a peaceful life, then you better keep quiet. But I am so invested in this story because I saw the living condition of those poor children. Because there are children there. I saw a child of, let's say, 11, 12 years in that center. So I need to tell that story. And I know that in Lagos, I will have a clear mind. And then, at least I know that in Lagos I can be safe.
Right.
Yes, that is why I'm in Lagos.
All right, let's come to the lawyer. There are two sides to this, but I want to start with the lawyer. Barrister Lawal, if you're with us, if this center is found culpable for these acts that we're seeing with this teenagers and preteens who are supposed to be there for reformation and rehabilitation, what are the legal charges they will face? And also for the victims as well, what kind of a legal address or legal redress can they take up for this rehabilitation center? All right, let me come to my second guest here. Is this a clear case of human rights violation? And where is the intersection between, human rights violation, legal breaking the law, and also the institution or the MDA or the agency or department, ministry that is supposed to be overseeing this facility to make sure that issues and, gruesome and terrifying incidents like this never ever see the light of day?
Thank you very much for having me. And we must hold the owners, the staff and the authorities who are allowed to this continue. We must hold them accountable and wire the government agencies. The government agencies are, this SA on narcotics, he must be investigated. And MDLEA as well has a role to play. And then Ministry of Youth and Sport Development has a role to play. And they must hold accountable. And then the state government in general, they must hold accountable. And they must be investigated. And then they are the agencies that has the responsibility to take care of any child in Katsina State.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bashir. Barrister Lawal, we're hoping that you can hear us now. We were asking regarding redress. What can these victims do when it comes to getting perhaps their day in court?
Hello, can you hear me, please?
Well, we can hear you now, but we'll fall back to technical and hopefully they can sort the issue with your connection out. But let's come back to the studio here and speak with Rukayyah, if you don't mind. Rukayyah, thank you very much. Now, the details were very clear inside of the report, but what was missing? What could you not show? You talked about the fact that some of the people that you spoke to didn't want to be seen. What were they scared of exactly?
The victim, my main victim, Usman Bujawa, when his relatives came forward and exposed this on social media, what happened was the principal, he did a press release, like a press conference with journalists, and he defamed that boy's character. I myself, the principal told me that the boy was into drugs, he was stealing, and he attempted to kill his mother. And that poor boy is still crying when he remembered that. He kept telling me, and he kept telling his brothers that I never said I would kill my mother.
Is the police or any other authority involved? Because if there are those claims, then was it reported to any authority like the police?
Yes. His lawyer, Barrister M.M. Lawan, here with us, he wrote a petition to the Commissioner of Police. But I was surprised to ask him yesterday, and he said the case was still not assigned to any person.
Okay, just pause. Barrister Lawan, if you can hear us, please do tell us exactly why that just happened, why that had happened regarding the Commissioner of Police.
Now, basically, as the victim and his family engaged our service, we quickly acted in two folds. One, we wrote a petition to the Commissioner of Police narrating the tragedy, all that happened to him, and then we went further to annex glaring pictures that portrays our petition, and then till date we are yet to be called. The petition is yet to be assigned after several follow-ups, and it actually bothers us that till date the petition is yet to be assigned and it's yet to be looked into, which clearly shows that the state is actually having an interest in the matter.
What interest could this be regarding the complicity of the authorities here, if you don't mind going further?
Now, you see, basically when this kind of tragedy happens, the first thing a good authority is supposed to do is to create a committee which would make a deeper investigation, which the governor did. And then when they did that, we were expecting that the principal should set aside. Immediately, he should set aside, and then a proper investigation will be conducted. However, the committee did not in any way ask the principal to relinquish his position. He continued as the principal. As I speak to you, he's still the principal, and nothing has been done to him. So that clearly shows that the state have an interest in supporting its member, who happens to be the principal, because he works for the state.
Let's come to Mr. Bashir. Mr. Bashir, these facilities obviously should have some kind of professional modus operandi, way of operating. But we see here that there are certain cultural, regional influences that are coming into the way they actually operate. Why is this?
Sometimes it's not the first time this torturing issue happened in Katsina State. It was happened, I think, maybe last year in Daura, some areas around Daura zone. It was happened before, but I don't know why a lot of people are being into this critical offense, which is initially they have their own ways to operate, they have their own rules and regulations, they have their own constitutions, let's say a code of conduct. They have their own, but they are violating the code of conduct. But I don't know the reason why they are violating the code of conduct of the organization or of the rehab center. Initially, rehab center is meant for rehabilitation, and now is meant for torturing and traumatizing. You see, young people in Katsina State, as we all know this. As a country, we must ask ourselves, how many centers are we doing secretly? Do we have secretly in Katsina, or maybe in Nigeria as well? If you don't act now, we are saying this is okay, and it is not okay. So, we must actually, an immediate shutdown of any accused reform center must be done. A government investigation and legal action against these people behind this, and also support service for affected children. This child that has been affected, he must be taken care of by the government.
So
and
Mr.
this
Bashir,
principal must be sacked, and he must testify as Barrister mentioned.
Now, Mr. Bashir, based on what you've just said, let's note that this is a formal institution that was actually put in place by a former president. So it must have some overview by an agency. What agency is this?
You see, an overview of this agency, I think this rehabilitation center must be under Ministry of Youth and Sport Development.
All right. Let's come back into the studio. I have to ask you, one of the things I've been picking out of this is that this is not the first time. This is not the first time. You said you found the story, you stumbled on social media.
Yes.
And so why are parents still bringing their children back there?
Exactly.
Because this has been open since 2003.
Yes.
And that means for it to have gotten to this level, it must have been happening for the last 22 years.
Thank you for this question. It will surprise you that on that day I went to the rehabilitative center. After this story happened, and it was all over social media up to now in Katsina. And I met a woman met me there, and she wants to bring her child.
Still?
Yes. After seeing the videos on social media, and she still make a reference. Okay, I saw something on social media, but I'm hoping that is not true. Please, I want to bring my child.
Why do they bring their children? What is the reason for them bringing? When you say rehabilitation or reforms, what's going on? Are they becoming addicted to drug use?
Yeah,
is it drug use? Is it
what is the level of drug use?
Because when you look at the age, they are pre-teen and they're teenagers. So most likely there's adolescency that's beginning to kick in. So they're stubborn, or they all of a sudden behaving like, oh, I'm a man now, I can do whatever.
Of course, then that can make parents to take their child to reform centers in Katsina. By merely misbehaving as a teenager, he can be taken to a reform center. Because listen to the report. What his brother was saying, what Usman's brother was saying was that they noticed he started doing drugs. One, And then 2, he was not praying on time. And number 3 is he was moving with bad friends. And they want to stop him.
What's the definition of bad friends? Because I've got bad colleagues. I mean,
Okay. I hope it's not my sin. Okay. So he said that he was moving with bad friends, and they don't want that influence. So they took him there so that he will be isolated for a while, and then he will learn a skill.
I want to send it to a relative.
Of course, they can do that. Or maybe send him to see a therapist.
Right.
Let him go and see a therapist, because I must commend the effort of the NDLEA. They have a rehabilitation center in their building, and I think I am a regular customer there, because I go to that center because I was suspecting that something fishy was going on. I go to that center like morning, afternoon, night. I kept going, and they kept answering my questions. Immediately you enter the center, you will just see a shelf, and then there's an office of a counselor. I asked them, how many times do your, what will I call them?
Your patients.
Okay, your patients, yes. How many times do your patient maybe visit the counselor? They said, like, each patient has a counselor. You know, and there are some that visit the counselor maybe 4 times in a week, every day, or 3 times in a week, depending on the severity of the issue. And that is what a rehabilitation center is.
So why are they not going to the NDLEA then?
I don't know.
So is this a culture thing? Is this a religion? Is there a religion part of it? Or is this an education problem?
I can't call this a religion or an education problem. Why? Because this center is not even maybe something like those of Malamiga, you know, the Islamic clerics. This is a reform center owned by the government.
The principal.
By the government.
The principal, what is his qualification? Sorry, just what's his qualification?
I don't know. I didn't ask.
Just like
I didn't ask because he don't like the questions.
No,
if I ask him, he say, I can't answer that question. I don't know.
I want to come to Barrister Lawan. Barrister Lawan, what are the implications for the principal, the institution, noting that the institution is actually government owned? And I mean legally now.
Yeah. Now the legal implication with respect to tragedy inflicted on the young man are 2. One, the young man has the right to sue the school, the Reformatory Centre, and then the government of Katsina State also, because the Reformatory Centre is an agent of the government of the Katsina State. He can sue them for in a civil suit and then claim damages for his amputated wrist. And then that we have we put into action by writing a letter of demand to the state government, and then we are even currently working on the processes to file a civil suit against the state government and against the school and even against the principal himself. And then on the other hand of it, the criminal aspect is that the principal would be investigated along with the SA on narcotics, because the SA on narcotics oversees the school. And then both of them will be investigated, and then if found wanting, either in negligence or deliberate action, they will be charged before a competent magistrate or even before a competent high court. And then punishment would be meted in accordance with the law. Now, basically, we've done the two aspects, and I've said we've written a letter of demand to the state government, demanding them to pay the young man, there's our client Usman, the sum of 200 million naira, and then to equally make us an investigation, and then to remove the principal, and then make him face the wrath of the law for his actions and inactions. These are basically the legal implications. And then lastly, we can the court in its own wisdom, based on application by the council of Usman, can seal the school. The court has the power to seal the school. Even the police commissioner of police can obtain an order to seal the school pending investigation. These are the actions we are expected to have seen for the past 10 days, but nothing is happening. So basically, these are the legal implications of the action of the school and the principal himself.
All right. Mr. Bashir Bala, to you now. Could you give us an idea of how many of how many of these institutions actually exist in Katsina State? What the present state of drug abuse is in Katsina State as well? Mr. Bashir. I think you're muted, if you can unmute.
Okay, yes. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I know two rehabilitation centers, this kind of centers in Katsina, which is Rukayyah already mentioned these centers, like Malaniga is also a rehabilitation center. And then also this rehabilitation center that we are talking about now, that is the only two I know. And then last year, as I mentioned, there was a other rehabilitation center around Daura zone. I don't know whether if it is inside Daura town or some other neighborhood local government in Daura. So I can say we have three now in Katsina, and I know there is a secret rehabilitation center which they are operating maybe privately. They are not attached to government. So I think investigation can reveal how many rehabilitation centers we have in Katsina.
Now, regarding the state of drug abuse in these areas, what is it like? Why?
Yes. Regarding the actually is very rampant. Actually, maybe sometimes around 65 to 75% of our youth now they are engaging into drug abuse.
It's very sad.
Gentlemen, I want to say thank you. Just very quickly as a wrap-up, Rukayyah, I must say well done so far. This must be very harrowing for you,
And
just
emotional.
speaking to those victims as well. But I have to ask you, what's the next step?
I don't know. Just like the barrister said, the only thing I know is I will continue following the story until the state government, the commissioner of police, more especially the commissioner of police, do something. And I'm hoping that Usman and other victims will get justice.
Get justice, indeed. Okay.
Thank you very much.